My sister-in-law convinced us to invest our life savings in her startup. Now she and my wife have vanished, leaving me broken and penniless. We were finally on solid ground. After years of scrimping and saving, of sacrificing vacations and new cars, my wife, Lisa, and I had finally reached a point where we could breathe a little easier. We had a comfortable home in a good neighborhood, steady jobs, and a healthy savings account. We had earned it, and we felt the hard work and struggle to put us where we are right now. My name is Ben, and I'm a construction supervisor, so I am always working with my hands. Lisa is a teacher and is passionate, but she has always wished for something more. That's what she gets the most from. So it was amazing when this opportunity came and shook things up. Or so I thought. Lisa's sister, Carol, was the catalyst. It seemed like a perfect opportunity, and how much she wanted that. Who was I to say no? Carol has always been the entrepreneurial one in the family, bouncing from one business venture to another, each more ambitious and outlandish than the last. There was the organic dog food company, the artisanal soap business, the mobile yoga studio, all of which had fizzled out after a few months, leaving Carol with a trail of debt and broken promises. Despite her track record, Lisa always admired Carol's hustle, her unwavering belief in her own abilities, and her willingness to take risks. Where Lisa was cautious and methodical, Carol was bold and impulsive, always chasing the next big thing. That's why, when Carol approached us with her latest venture, a tech startup focused on developing innovative educational tools for children, Lisa was immediately intrigued. The more I think about it, the more all of it was too fast. This is it, guys, Carol gushed over dinner one night, her eyes sparkling with excitement. This is the one that's going to make us all rich. I can feel it. The startup, called EDU Tech, was developing a series of interactive apps and games designed to make learning fun and engaging for kids. Carol was convinced that it was going to revolutionize the education industry. I had my doubts, of course. The market was already saturated with educational apps, and Carol's business acumen had always left something to be desired. But I also knew how much Lisa believed in her sister, how much she wanted to see her succeed. It sounds interesting, Carol, I said. But what will this all do? Is there any potential, or will it just die out? Carol brushed aside my concerns. This is different, Ben, she insisted. This is not some fly-by-night scheme. This is a real company, with a solid business plan, a talented team, and a revolutionary product. It needs people like you to help it get off the ground. She then pitched us the opportunity of a lifetime. EDU Tech was seeking seed investors, offering a limited number of shares in exchange for capital. The potential returns, she claimed, were astronomical, promising to double or even triple our investment within a year. I scoffed, telling Carol that there was absolutely no way something like that could happen. It was all meant to be a scheme. Lisa was hesitant, but intrigued. She liked the idea of supporting her sister's dream, of being part of something innovative and meaningful. She believed in the power of education, and she was drawn to the idea of helping children learn and grow. Think about it, Ben, she said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. This could be our chance to finally achieve financial freedom, to build a better future for our family. We can't be reckless. There's no reason to lose everything. There has to be planning. I tried to inject a dose of reality into the conversation. It's a risky investment, Lisa, I cautioned. Startups are notoriously unpredictable. We could lose everything. Carol scoffed and rolled her eyes. Come on, Ben, don't be so negative. You have to take risks to get ahead in this world. Besides, I'm not just asking you to invest blindly. I've done my research, I've crunched the numbers, and I'm confident that EDU Tech is a sure thing. That's when Josh came in and started to make his case. Just trust us on this. It will be amazing. We just need you guys to let us go and do our thing, and we will give it back tenfold. The pressure was on. Lisa was eager to jump in, driven by a combination of sisterly loyalty and the tantalizing promise of financial reward. Carol was relentless, bombarding us with information, statistics, and testimonials, all designed to quell my doubts and convince me to take the plunge. I tried to push back. Let's think about it, I urged. Let's talk to a financial advisor, review the business plan, and do our own due diligence before making any decisions. Carol gave me a pleading look. We don't have time, she warned. This offer is only available for a limited time. If we wait too long, We'll miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime. It all just didn't add up. What do I do now? She mentioned that we should come back tomorrow for a decision. I had to think about that. The thing is, I knew deep down that I wanted to help my wife, but if I ended up betraying myself, was this the kind of relationship I needed to go to? At that point, I was already formulating some responses for what I thought she was going to say. The pressure was immense. Lisa, caught up in a whirlwind of excitement and sisterly loyalty, was wholeheartedly on board with Carol's plan. She saw EDU Tech as a golden ticket, a chance for us to escape the drudgery of our ordinary lives and build a future of financial freedom and creative fulfillment. If only she knew then what would happen with all of this. I, however, remained skeptical. Something about Carol's pitch felt off, too good to be true. The promises of guaranteed returns, the limited time offer, the vague details about the company's operations, it all smacked of a classic get-rich-quick scheme. I tried to voice my concerns to Lisa, but she brushed them aside, accusing me of being negative and unsupportive. Ben, you always do this, she said, her voice laced with frustration. You always find a reason to doubt, to worry, to hold back. Can't you just trust me for once? Can't you just believe in my sister? I didn't want to argue, to create a rift between us, especially when she was so excited about the prospect of helping Carol. I knew how much her sister meant to her, and I didn't want to be the bad guy, the one who crushed her dreams. So, I reluctantly agreed to consider the investment, promising to do some research and make a decision within a few days. Those next few days were a blur of frantic activity. While Lisa was busy making wedding plans with Carol, I was secretly digging into EDU Tech, searching for any information I could find about the company, its founders, and its business model. What had started out as simply a desire to please my wife had turned into a world where I was going to do everything I could to save both our lives. The information I found was underwhelming. The company had a sleek website, a polished marketing video, and a handful of glowing testimonials from satisfied customers. But there was very little substance beneath the surface. The founders were listed as Carol and Josh, her boyfriend, had no real expertise in education or technology. It was odd. I did not know what to think of it. There was no business address, no contact information beyond a generic email address, and no verifiable data about their user base or revenue projections. It was like they were ghosts with no bodies to be seen. The more I dug, the more uneasy I became. Something wasn't right. It felt like some sort of scheme that was simply too difficult to know what to expect from it, and for what was to come. I tried to share my concerns with Lisa, but she refused to listen. She was so caught up in the excitement of the wedding, so eager to support her sister, that she couldn't see the warning signs. You're being ridiculous, Ben, she said, rolling her eyes. You're just jealous because Carol is finally doing something with her life. That's not true, I protested. I just want to make sure we're making a smart decision. This is our life savings, Lisa. We can't afford to lose it. She sighed dramatically. We're not going to lose it, Ben. Carol knows what she's doing. You need to have more faith in her and in me. Seeing that I couldn't say anything, what I wanted to do now was to just prepare for all of the worst outcomes. What do you do when the whole thing comes crashing down? In the end, Lisa wore me down. Her passion, her insistence, and my own desire to make her happy outweighed my reservations. Against my better judgment, I agreed to invest our life savings in EDU Tech. We had to do what was best and give our hard-earned cash to see what was going to come out of it. A week later, we met with Carol and Josh to sign the paperwork and transfer the funds. As I signed the documents, I felt a knot of anxiety tighten in my stomach. It was a leap of faith, a gamble on our future, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were making a terrible mistake. If only I knew the true extent of it all. Then came the big event, the wedding between Sarah and Josh. In the grand scheme of things, with all the best people, at all of the best places, you would have thought that this was all worth it. But there was no. The problems and everything was about to start. My phone rang. It was Lucy. She had found the answer to everything. She was going to reveal the truth. I would then have a choice on how things were going to come down. Update 1. The wedding was as lavish and extravagant as I had feared. A sprawling estate, a designer dress, a celebrity DJ, and a guest list that seemed to include half of Hollywood. It was a scene straight out of a movie, a world away from our quiet, middle-class existence. Seeing all of it in front of me made me sick. But as I looked out to what was to come, I had to figure out who I could reach out to figure out what was going on. Lisa was radiant, beaming with joy as she celebrated her sister's happiness. But as I watched her, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, that beneath the surface of the glitz and glamour, a storm was brewing. I got pulled to the side by one of the people who attended the event. Then, the call came at the wedding. It had to be done to stop everything I was feeling. What was about to happen was about to happen. Everything was getting ready to blow up. I walked away to be ready. "So what did you want to tell me?" I asked. I had found those numbers about EDU Tech. It's not even a real company. You're never going to get it back, and she wants to get out. "So what do you want to do?" Lucy stated with a grim voice. I told her to please come down to the wedding. I was sick to my stomach because I was so tired and so done. I said, "I'm done. What do you want me to do about this thing?" Lucy, knowing me so well, laid it all out. "Just be present, but I want you to call the police on the spot. Show them what you have and let them handle everything else." "Is that what you want?" "You know it is," I stated. I told her I was about to, and went from there. The words that followed were not easy. With Lucy, as I hung up and walked over to Sarah, I felt a switch. It was no longer going to be her. Her face changed when I was not with her, and then smiled when I was in front of her. But what was going to happen next had to happen, and it had to be there with police presence. "Sarah, I have to say it was a pleasure to finally reach the end to see it like this." "What are you saying?" she responded back to me. "All of this was great and all, and it was fun with you for so long. But Lucy found out that EDU Tech is not a real thing, and that you have run away with all the money and set it all up. I can't live with you any longer," I said. What was I even going to do? I stepped away, and that's when she realized the police were at the door. I turned away as they spoke with her, and then took her away to be arrested. In that short amount of time, she lost everything. All for that short bit of happiness, or just not understanding there was a better way. It was at that point that the end was starting to come close. As for me, what could I do? That's all that I needed to do. Though, I contacted my parents and let them know what was up. They could not believe it. I knew that I was done, and I was not prepared to ever work with them again, but it had to happen sometime. Then there was Aunt Claire, who told me all that I needed to hear for everything. "I'm ready to support you in whatever comes next." That was such a great moment, and a good part of my life had just started to come through. That was it. What I do was up to me, and there was nothing that I could make true for the next time. Final update. The days and weeks that followed were a blur of legal proceedings, interviews, and the painful process of piecing my life back together. As the news of Sarah's deception spread through our families and social circles, I was met with a mix of sympathy, support, and a disturbing undercurrent of "I told you so." The people who had initially praised her ambition and envied her lavish lifestyle now whispered behind her back, branding her a con artist and a gold digger. That part one couldn't find much peace in. For me, the immediate aftermath was a chaotic mix of paperwork, legal consultations, and the daunting task of rebuilding my finances. The police investigation confirmed my worst fears. EDU Tech was nothing more than a sophisticated Ponzi scheme designed to enrich Carol and Josh at the expense of unsuspecting investors. They'd used the wedding as a way of gathering more money, and everything played right into their hands. But this money had to come from somewhere. Sarah, it turned out, had not been an innocent dupe. She was an active participant in the scheme, using her charm and her connections to lure in new investors, including her own sister and me. She was driven by a desire for wealth, status, and a warped sense of loyalty to her family, even if it meant betraying the person who loved her most. As for the legal process, everything pointed to the evidence and to the clear fraud that had been made. As the case unraveled, the truth came out. She and Josh disappeared. Josh had apparently fled the state, leaving behind a trail of debts and broken promises. Sarah, facing the consequences of her actions, was arrested and charged with multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, and grand theft. What was I doing to do as all of this happened? I did not know, and had to let it ride. I knew that what I did had to come out to some end that was not something anyone could see coming. The legal proceedings dragged on for months, a constant reminder of the pain and betrayal I had endured. In the end, Sarah pleaded guilty to a reduced set of charges in exchange for her cooperation with the investigation and her agreement to repay the stolen funds. She was sentenced to several years in prison, a punishment that felt both justified and deeply unsettling. The money, or most of it, was eventually returned to me, a bittersweet victory that did little to ease the emotional scars. The college fund was restored, but the trust, the innocence, and the sense of security that had once defined my life were gone, replaced by a weary cynicism and a lingering sense of vulnerability. As for me, I spent a while on Lucy's couch before I could get back on my feet. Then, I focused on myself and learned that it was okay to trust, even after such a big experience as what had occurred for me. I still am a planner. That has not changed. But what has changed is that there is no expectation for everything to go according to plan. Life just isn't that straightforward. In time, I met someone new, someone who truly saw me for who I was, and loved me not in spite of, but because of everything I had been through. We built a life together based on honesty, respect, and a shared commitment to supporting each other's dreams, whatever they may be. The experience with Sarah taught me a harsh lesson about the complexities of human nature, the seductive power of greed, and the devastating consequences of betrayal. I learned that even those closest to you are capable of deception, and that sometimes the greatest threat comes from within your own inner circle. But I also discovered the resilience of the human spirit, the capacity for forgiveness, and the enduring power of hope, even in the darkest of times. As I walked away from it all, years ago, into the new, I learned to enjoy what there was to enjoy, and that's what that has been to me.